Evening, officers.
A burly man hangs out by the waterlock, carving up a generous serving of salami with an old hunter's knife. His eyes are fixed on a man stranded on the other side of the waterlock and on an enormous billboard that has fallen down into the canal between them.
I wasn't here to witness it, but those look like tire tracks on that sign. Weird, huh? Then again, plenty of daredevil drivers in Revachol. Too bad it also takes a year and a day to repair anything round here. Especially a waterlock. The rest of the coast is closed off till then. Well, there's the fishing village, an abandoned fish market, a bizarro church. Not much use to the congregation, though. There always seems to be something wrong with it. Yeah, not really much else. Just bombed-out ruins. Sure thing.
It is salty. It is savory. It is chewy. The hangover only makes the salami more tasty.
Want some too, officer?
Why not?
A couple of indicator lights are missing from this control panel. Loose wires dangle from the now vacant holes. In the middle is a lever. Beneath it, a small metal plaque. This panel usually closes the waterlock, turning it into a bridge that lets you cross the canal. But there's a crashed salmon and butter sign in the way. Pulling the lever probably won't do anything. You pull the lever all the way up until the metal clicks against the contact pins. You hear a soft clunk. Then, nothing happens. Nothing happens. A cold gust of wind blowing in from the sea interrupts the silence of the situation. A spring brings the lever back to its original position. You still need to close the waterlock to get across the canal. Some other way. Wasn't there a sign over there saying functionality will be restored on Wednesday morning? There's a pile of cheap sunglasses.
You like sunglasses, officer? I've got the latest.
These are all boring. Boring third-rate ho-hum sunglasses made of cheap Syrahese plastic. The kind of plastic that melts in the sun. Those UV stickers are almost certainly just there for the show. If anything, these lenses probably direct more UV light into your pupils. A UV magnifier.
These are all first-rate sunglasses. Premium design, superb material, very cool, UV resistant. These will definitely keep your eyes safe and cool while doing your dangerous police work.
No luck. All you find is this lime-colored cellophane visor, produced by a bargain sportswear brand called Amphibian, apparently. There's a malformed green frog on its bent cap.
Oh, that visor is perfect for you, officer. It'll definitely keep the sun out of your eyes while you're shooting criminals. Bang, bang!
I hope not.
You don't like it? Sure, Square Joe. No problem. Let's get you some real shades.
Oh, I was muted this whole time. But nothing too important. Alright.
You see rows of toy soldiers guarding the rest of the trinkets displayed on the table. Some on horseback, others in rags, others yet in bright blue uniforms. All are stern and unyielding in their duty. Big men on big horses, clad in lamella armor and carrying flintlocks, the kind that would mow down a line of enemy soldiers in the blink of an eye.
I used to be very serious about my Franco-Nigerian knights.
They're not all blue. These figurines also wear gold coats and caps, complemented by orange trousers. They are variously posed, wielding swords and rifles with bayonets.
This is what the loyalists looked like, yes, at first. Then they wised up and got camouflage.
Which one? Ah, royalist soldiers from the time of the Revolution. The uniforms are painted a bit too brightly, I suppose.
This set of soldiers isn't meant to look impressive. A few have rifles, but most of them carry pistols. Some even shovels and tall sticks.
You're probably talking about the revolutionaries, yes? Yes, they are soldiers, revolutionary soldiers. I think their poverty has been exaggerated for effect. When you place them next to the royalists, it doesn't seem like they could possibly win. Maybe.
Why? What's this? A headless man riding a horse? A headless man wearing futuristic tracksuit trousers that say found?
Oh, that's the Headless Phone Rider. The Headless Phone Rider. It's an urban legend about a man who rides the streets of Revachol sporting a fawn tracksuit. As you see, he's missing his head. 50 cents. Bargain price. I'll throw in the tiny cap too. I think he's looking for it, or something. That part of the story has many interpretations.
Absolutely.
Did I mention that this figurine is supposed to be lucky? Always carry it with you.
The boomboxes on the shelf look well-loved and well-traveled. Chipped, dented, they stare at you with the unblinking eyes of their tape reels. One especially catches your eye. Deep gold and amber plastic with a big old handle on top. A classic boombox that says, Stereo 8 approved. Just make sure it works before you buy it.
If police work means playing tapes, sure. You can use it for that. Or any other time you'd need to play a tape. Is the Harman Welsh W2. Made in Vespa. Designed in Seoul. Plays all reel-to-reel formats. 2mm, 8mm, 12mm. It's even got a little radio in there. It'll set you back 12 real. Absolutely. I've tested each one myself with recordings of speech. Found sounds and music from a variety of genres. Even though I don't really like music.
A typical Martinez streetlight sits among assorted floor and table lamps. The light pole has been carefully cut, and the wiring has been redone and attached to a standard indoor plug. The light buzzes faintly, but persistently. This would make quite a statement in your living room.
Yes, officer. As you see, it's in perfect working order.
His manner is casual, but his speech is careful, measured. He wants you to know that he has nothing to hide.
It was brought to me to be altered.
We are not here to investigate the theft of city property. You have to admit it's rather clever what he's done with it.
700 real. A bargain, I dare say. I don't know where it came from, but it's not every day you get to buy and sell something so extraordinary. It's not often that I see officers from the RCM in my pawn shop. What can I do for you?
His courtesy is not insincere, but he prefers being alone with his projector, just watching the movement of light across the walls of the shop.
I haven't had any problems myself, though some of my customers have complained about inconsistent law enforcement.
Who are your customers?
All kinds of people come through here. Locals, travelers, people looking for a deal, people looking for a keepsake, people who are terminally bored. As you can see, I have a wide selection of goods for everyone to choose from. It keeps me entertained.
Entertained? He might be high. If he is, on what? Feeling warm and enthralled by the movement of light, while the mind continues to race forward. Lucky bastard. He's probably on Perolidon. It's tough to come by on the street. A drug developed by the military to treat and prevent radiation sickness. It has psychedelic side effects, and it makes your eyes turn yellow.
I try to keep the shop at a comfortable temperature. Perolidon is just something since the People's Pile disaster. I was with the Emergency Relief Brigade. Had to take it for radiation sickness.
He's taken for mental and emotional, not physical pain these days.
A bad idea. Some poor leftist built a particle decay generator in hopes of bringing affordable electricity to underserved communities. It malfunctioned. Radioactive waste everywhere. Probably some of it in you too.
The People's Pile was a Type U particle decay generator that failed immediately after entering service, releasing radioactive waste into River Esperance. A primitive nuclear reactor, also called a pile. Construction began during the Commune of Revachol. The people continued work on it after the Commune fell. They wanted a cheap source of energy for Revachol West. Needless to say, things didn't work out. An emergency valve defect resulted in steam pressure blowing the turbine, taking the fuel containment vessel up in the explosion. Both the faulty design and lack of finances contributed to the catastrophe.
We were an all-volunteer force, self-organized, tried to help the fire brigades contain the spill.
On the patch, gamma radiation lines crossed with a red drop of blood.
I lived by the river since I was a small boy. The Esperance. Didn't have the art to let it all go to shit without trying to do something to help out. There wasn't much the volunteer force could do, however. We wasted years in the river mud. Years getting sick. There's a reason why everyone's tried to forget any of it ever happened, and why no one has tried to repair or replace the pile. So much disappointment, an early death, cancer mostly. And we knew all that was coming even as we were cleaning up as best we could. No one's, everyone's.
So much bitterness.
A bunch of poor people built themselves a primitive nuclear reactor, hoping for the best. What do you think is going to happen? The cleanup happened 15 years ago. I was young then. Later, my second aunt died. Left me this shack and all the assorted junk in it. So I came to Martinez. People told me don't go there. It's a shithole. I said, people, we just had a nuclear pile meltdown. I'm gonna get as far away from Forburg as I can. Still in the same city, but... I like the theory more than the story. Outward movement, not vortices.
Yeah, you gotta get in on those vortices, my man.
Someone else came here earlier today asking the same question. I promptly sold her the gun you pawned a couple days back.
This is a pawn shop, and it did feel as if you've met before. Oh God. The lieutenant shifts from one foot to another, alert.
She didn't seem like a policeman, although she kept referring to herself as a pig, which was odd. I found her interest in the gun a bit obsessive, but I was just happy to get rid of it, and of her. Truth be told, she was terrifying.
Right, so let me get this right. You sold your sidearm, issued by the citizens' militia, and now a civilian is running around the streets of Martinez with it? In that case, she'll be happy to get a visit from us, if we can find her.
You were adamant about getting rid of it, officer. Said you were undeserving of a service weapon of the Revachol Citizens Militia. And I don't like keeping guns around the shop for long. Off the charts photon emissions. The unhealthy kind. My apologies, officer, but I have no idea where she was coming from or where she went.
A needle in a haystack. There is nothing you can do about it now. You'll just have to hope you luck upon her somehow.
Of course. I doubt it, but I can try and answer any questions you may have. I do my best to keep my distance from all manner of butchery. Bad for business, bad for everyone.
He doesn't know anything.
The corpse behind the hostel, I assume. I don't have a truck with a mounted platform or anything of that sort myself. Ask around the harbour. There might be some workers there who'd be willing to help.
The pawnbroker's gaze is already fixed on the dancing colors.
Have you tried it before?
The lieutenant steps away, pretending to admire some of the knickknacks on display. Looks like he doesn't want to get involved. He won't be your nog, but he won't be thrilled about this either.
If you say so. Here you go, man.
Yes, darling. That's the coalition government ordained parolidon. Straight into your gut.
Of course. Let me have a look. Anything else you're thinking of selling?
Let's see. I'm just gonna sell those postcards.
Another time, perhaps.
We should think about calling it a day, maybe. The nights are still miserably cold this time of year. You should take care of that, then. Let's talk to him anyway. An officer of the RCM shouldn't be sleeping in the streets. We'll figure something out.
Psyche. Okay. I think this first night doesn't. I think the first night lets you just... It's not going to give me a game over for it, but...
Can I help you? Yes, have you got it? Does that arrangement include you paying me what we already agreed you owe me?
I understand your predicament as the manager. However, I feel I must remind you that we are here to conduct an important investigation that also affects your business.
Forgive me for saying this, but your colleague seems more committed to drinking, and... I mean no offense. It's really nothing personal. I just have to protect the interests of this establishment. Not until you bring me the money.
Okay. I might have something in my motor carriage we can use when you're done here.
Oh, Lieutenant, we're done here.
Yes?
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio.
I have something here we could sell. Look in the back, in the suspect transport enclosure.
Transport enclosure. Regular people just call it the cage. The cage at the back of the motor carriage looks rather uncomfortable. 4 shiny hubcaps are stacked against the seat. Their silver edges sparkle in the dark.
I confiscated these 4 a little while back. We can take them to the pawn shop down by the Martinez Canal. There are spinner hubcaps, frivolous things you put on your wheels. When the wheels come to a stop, the caps keep on spinning. There's no real use for them, it's just for vanity. A couple of weeks ago, I stopped a young man for going slower than the speed of traffic. Turns out he was some coalition official's son and high. I took them and arrested him for driving under the influence. That they are. I was going to take them into evidence, but they weren't necessary for conviction. He never asked for them back. No, that would be silly. I don't know why I kept them. It doesn't matter. I couldn't put them on this MC anyway. A cop with spinners. That would be outrageous.
He flashes a smile, barely visible in the dark.
As I said, they are useless anyway. I should have remembered I have these earlier.
The lieutenant nods as you take the spinners. Hey, so we've been monitoring you internally, and now we know your Copo type. Yes, guess what's yours? That is only a ludicrous daydream. Guess again. You're the... Yes, sorry cop. The cop who's sorriest. Let's make it official then, shall we? What? Jealous of the sorry cop? I think they'll be fine. Don't worry. They'll be super, super fine. It'll be totally okay. You can dual Copo type from sorry to anything. Yes, yes, impotent rage and lamentation. Let's wrap it up? Of course you are. It's okay. See if you can get something out of this, like info. Or maybe every time you say you're sorry, you get $1 million. That won't happen.
Yeah, maybe later I need those skill points.
Hello, hello.
Yes, we'd like to sell these hubcaps.
Roy takes the hubcaps from the lieutenant.
Yes, these are very, very good. Did you defraud some foreign prince for them? Jump a misc banger? No matter. I'll give you 200 real.
No one was defrauded or jumped, I assure you.
Of course. I meant no offense. 200 real for you, officer. Delightful doing business with you. Do come again.
Thank you. Here's the 130 real you need for your bill. Do not waste it.
The rest is for him, to compensate for the pain of being separated from his radiant spinners.
Anything else you're thinking of selling? Another time, perhaps.
Can I help you? Yes. Have you got it? Well? Great. Thank you, officer. That's all I wanted. Payment for services rendered. If you continue to stay here, I just ask that you please pay your nightly bill in advance starting tomorrow. I'll unlock the electronic lock to your room. All the doors lock automatically at 9 p.m. Please pay for each night in advance starting tomorrow. 20 real per night.
I'll take a room here too.
Of course. Always happy to have officers from the RCM as guests. Anything else I can do for you? Another thing. Great. I love that. Yes?
You should pick that fat, juicy cigarette butt from the tray, light it up, and smoke the living shit out of it. Who knows what you are? A monster, a murderer, the gnome of Jeroma? You feel like a smoker, especially when you look at that juicy, succulent, seductive cigarette stub, still smoldering deliciously. How very astute of you. This renders it ineffectual. You should look for a whole cigarette, or better yet, an entire pack. Strike that. A carton. Make sure they're all healthy and able-bodied. Then smoke them all. Good. Thinking about yummy cigarettes in your mouth is the next best thing. Make sure you think about juicy sticks of tobacco all the time, though. It doesn't count if it's not all the time. And when you're done thinking about them, graduate to getting them. Plus, smoking them gives massive bonuses.
Yes?
Because you're the best qualified? No, that doesn't seem right. If you're so well qualified, why can't you remember why you were sent? Anyway, don't keep the lieutenant. This is the door to the room you redecorated.
Just a moment. We should talk about our progress on the investigation. Let's go out to the balcony.
The air outside is brisk. The lieutenant is silent for a moment. He listens to the traffic hum. Then...
Now then, we should talk about the investigation. But I also feel you're a bit hazy on the RCM. Our role here, our rights, our jurisdiction, basically. I have a cigarette every night when I go over my notes. It's something of a ritual.
Oh man, he looks so devastatingly cool with that cigarette.
I apologize, but I only brought one with me. I have exactly one cigarette every night while going over my notes.
And if anyone watches this, I strongly recommend against attempting to smoke one cigarette a night.
You mean this? This isn't cool. It's an unnecessary trial of will and unhealthy.
Yet, were he to quit, he'd lose the cool factor. This man relishes his cool quite a bit, below it all.
Yes, it's been a long and eventful day. Well, we inspected the victim's body, so that's good. It was not easily approachable in that state, but we did it. I would say our initial inspection was very thorough, and we have solid leads to follow up. Then you shot him in the chest, which wasn't ideal, and we still have to get him down from the tree.
By not ideal, he means he can't believe he let you try that trick and would be angry if he didn't feel the outcome was partly his responsibility.
Being sober also tends to help with precision. But moving on to the interviews, we weren't able to find the union leader, Everard Clare, much less interview him. So that's on the to-do list for tomorrow. We didn't talk to the White Pines rep. We really must do that tomorrow. Above all, though, today was exhausting. What's with all the running? You run a lot. Is that a standard Precinct 41 practice?
I have a really good theory about why you're running so fast, son. Just you wait until we get up tomorrow.
It's impressive, especially for a man your age, and in those hills. Nice shoes, by the way. I like the green. Goes with the orange. They're quite limited, actually. The power officers of the Revachol Citizens Militia exercise most frequently is imposing fines of up to 1,000 real for offenses, in accordance with an interdepartmental schedule. The RCM's primary role is to ensure safety. We are not really supposed to play any part in the economic structure of Revachol. Yes, although indirectly, as citizens can always request records from their local station. Officers of the RCM have been known to take bribes of less than the prescribed fine amount. It undermines trust in the RCM. We can arrest people, of course, but rather than bringing someone in directly, it's preferable to serve a station call slip. It prevents confusion and overcrowding. You can't. Those who don't show up become fugitives, though, and have fewer legal rights when they are eventually caught. It's about power projection. Thus far, they seem to mostly show up. As you may have gathered from the fact that we are expected to carry a record of our kills, like the one in the watermarks, we are permitted to use whatever force is necessary, and strongly admonished not to abuse that power. You have to supply compelling evidence for why it was necessary to use lethal force. In these cases, your partner is usually your witness. Not a good position to be in, by the way. Internal Affairs handles these cases thoroughly, by cross-examining you for inconsistencies. It is hard to cover for anyone, which is for the best. We don't convict. We arrest and send them to coalition government courts in Couvin and La Delta. The prosecution works off our testimonies and records, which is why it's paramount to keep them. The coalition government and the moral intern more broadly. The RCM was formed by the coalition government to restore order in the international zone after the revolution. So we did. Now we attempt to maintain that order. No more, no less. Or perhaps it is better to say we were allowed to form. It's a point of contention whether the citizens of Revachol or the coalition government founded the RCM.
I'm gonna lie down and not worry about this face cam if there's no one watching.
Be sentimental if you like. Either way, the Moralinton leases us the right to keep the peace in this city, and they will take it away if we misuse it.
Or if they think you do.
The Moralist International are the world's largest political organization. You know who they are. They have been running this place after the revolution failed. They're a union of center-left and center-right parties across the Real Belt. Our coalition government is just one of its many projects. They also run the ICP, EPIS, most intergovernmental organizations in the world. What do they believe in? They are Dolorians. They believe they continue the humanist project set forth by Her Innocence Dolores Day 4 centuries ago. Others say they are just technocrats.
Those others say they continue the humanist project set forth by Dolores Day.
Interesting question. It's a blue forget-me-not. Their motto is love, compassion, self-discipline. I think you can gauge what they want you to think of them from that.
Something kind and usual. Something almost self-explanatory. Something even a little feminine, but in a strict manner. Something like the dark blue, serious color of the early night sky above.
A historic figure? The author of the modern age? You will have to look elsewhere for opinions. The subject of humanism is too abstract for me. The moral intern are a fact. I try not to have opinions on facts until they change. And it doesn't look like that's about to happen. Do you? We are in what is called the twilight of international law. The laws we claim to enforce come from the MI. Without them, we are simply vigilantes. Spoken like a revolutionary, not a cop. But hypothetical aside, in Martinez we already are vigilantes. At least the Union thinks so. I expect our job here to prove quite challenging.
The dying lights of the city shimmer below. Slowly, like luminous clouds.
Hey, trash
pass
pack.
on his lenses. The lieutenant looks at his slim cigarette.
Just finishing off the first
the
day.
next drag.
Kim had a bunch of spinner hubcaps that he confiscated that we sold so I could keep staying in the hotel. But that's about all you missed. Other than that, just more. Most of these conversations has been more world building, but no.
An aerostatic passes overhead, the whiskers of its floodlights on the ground below. Kitsuragi's glasses light up as he looks to the sky. 2 glowing circles.
They really don't like us here. And the mouth on that kid, Kuno. It's different in land, in Jamrock and the GRIH. It's our fault for leaving this place to the dogs, to the Union, to the company. not daring to come here more often. It's like I told you, this place is an orphan, fallen between the cracks. We run this city. West of the river is RCM land. It's incredibly hard. Human beings are... But we are in control, and it's worth it. The organization works, our systems work. If they didn't, the city would disintegrate. Me too, but I wouldn't count on any drastic changes in our lifetimes.
He is very tired, but the dark circles under his eyes make him look younger, not older.
Yeah, it's getting very cold now. Let's go.
And let's see. Oh yeah, I got 3 skill points banked up, so shouldn't have any trouble doing that jump again tomorrow morning. Or tomorrow morning in game, not real life.
The bed is cold and not particularly inviting, but it's yours. The sheets look awful.
The option to go to sleep becomes available every night after 9 p.m.
Actually, I'm gonna read some case files before bed.
It's the ledger you found in the trash. A cabbage of papers hanging from the board, with the permeables drawer inside. It's barely held together by a clip, then made complete by the faint smell of urinal cleaner. It's not what you end up. The ledger quivers in your hand. As it shakes, the pages rustle. This pathetic mess, suddenly it takes about half an hour to piece one together, using the system you've devised. Which one do you want? This one is relatively easy to reconstruct. Overnight on 1202, a graffito, nay, a mural, appears on an 8-story tenement overlooking central Jamrock. The building is a sparsely inhabited ghost tower, part of a failed real estate development called Grand Couronne. Cause of failure, rent too high. The mural is enormous. 2 silhouettes, a man and a woman, are kissing. The text cut into their form reads, "True love is possible, only in the next world. For new people, it is too late for us. Wreak havoc on the middle class. People call it that thing and that fucking thing. It's visible for miles. In 2 days, the station's complaints desk gets clogged with requests to remove the bummer. You and your partner are assigned to the case. The graffito crew is easy to track down. Only the belles-lettres have the literage of industrial paint to cover the surface. One of the graffito artists is rumored to be rich. They take responsibility for the execution, but not the design. The ideologue of the next world mural, as the crew calls it, remains an unknown. The crew agrees to clean up after themselves. However, your partner, JV, is against the removal, citing public support for conservation. This leads to a debate in Precinct 41, which then spreads to the streets of Jamrock, ending in a rare plebiscite organized by you and the rest of Row 3. The 9,000 people subjected to the mural's message, all of Lakeside, Central Jamrock, and Villalobos, plus half of the eminent domain, participate in the vote. Although the case begins with what appears to be a lot of rambling on the streets as to how juvenile and stupid the mural is, given a choice between 2 options. A staggering 78% of voters choose to keep it. Turns out the opposition were a loud minority, and that love truly is possible in the next world for new people, and it is too late for us. In any case, it appears to have been a rare case of civil activity in the quarter, and agreement as well. What do you want to tackle next?
I'll
Not
come
much
back to
has
that
changed
later.
in the meanwhile. The bed is cold and not particularly inviting, but it's yours. The sheets look awful. The sheets feel at once coarse and clammy against your skin. The bed sags beneath your weight as you stretch out and finally close your eyes.
Not too bad. Had to go to work, but they canceled the truck, so it was kind of just being sent around to different departments. Yeah, nothing too less eventful than usual. So, yeah, it's been okay.
$8,000 of written history. You really dropped the ball, Harry. 4.6 billion people. And you failed every single one of them. You really fucked up. No, Harry. You were just talking to yourself. That's all you ever do. Even in your dreams. And the act is wearing thin. The spots of the disco ball fade around you. You'll be back in those cold snakeskins in no time, sweating up the bed. Stinky boy. You're not coming back from shit, thrashing around in that high conductivity state of yours, bumping into things and acting like a clown. Who are you kidding? You're trying to what? I can't hear you. This is just a word dream now. Jumbled up garbage. The pictures are gone. The bed rises to meet you. A thin, sleep-like state. More glass than velvet, grinding in your head. So something is wrong. Sleep shouldn't be this bad, this dry, this unnourishing. There's something wrong with your thoughts. Some kind of new type of hangover. Oh yes, party boy, and it's worse than the one before. Just think of the shit you saw. Here it comes too, so soon already. A silent alarm goes off in your head like clockwork, barely let you sleep at all. Time to get those clothes on, Harry. Time to go to work in the shit factory.
Yep.
Good going, buddy. Yes. Wait till you see the one with the chick in it. It's gonna be a good one. You feel even worse this morning than you did last night. You don't know? You don't know? Some broad that messed you up. It'll come to you. It always does. You mean, why are you so tired? Too tired and down to even think? It is worrying, isn't it? You can't be a detective like this. Detectives need to be able to think. It's just that your heart has finally pumped all the speed out of your system, Buster. Time to get some more. You're too weak to say no now. Waking up is the worst part. Maybe somewhere down the line you could decline. Speed is a potent central nervous system stimulant. It kept you propped up all day yesterday, despite your debilitating hangover. How else did you think you even got up from this floor? It's power, man. It's professionalism. It makes you feel like you're young again and ready to detect. Ready to go to war against the world. Of course, Martinez is Speed Central. You just gotta poke around, follow your nose. You and Speed will be happy again. You will make her come home. This time, it will be different.
I sort of remember where to find Speed, but I'm not gonna like struggle too hard trying to find it. I should probably just have a save at the beginning of the day.
Morning. Looks like we can get to work at once. The union muscle turned up. They look rowdy. We should talk to them. I mean ungovernable. Martinez isn't exactly enthusiastic about the RCM being here. They prefer to be policed by the union. These men here, men who drink beer for breakfast, there's talk of an armed wing of the union called the Hardy Boys, who are responsible for state policing. I think it's them. I completely forgot. Sorry, I had a rough night's sleep. It's them by the looks of it. Loud and nasty, just like the manager said. One loose thread less to worry about, and one big problem to replace it. Everything points to the dock workers' union. The belt used for hanging him, the circumstances in Martinez, my preliminary information, which may, of course, all be wrong. That would just escalate tensions. No captain would sign off on it. Solving one murder isn't worth a conflict between the RCM and the Debarders' Union. In fact, even the death of two detectives might not warrant an all-out war. so let's keep a cool head, okay? One more thing before we do. We don't have to talk to them immediately. We can walk right past them, continue with our business.
Yeah, streetwise. Zoom right past. Do it on your own terms. But aren't you curious to know what they have to say about the murder?
They're in no hurry to leave. They think they own the place. Anyway, I leave that choice to you. Whatever you decide is fine by me.
I'm gonna try to talk to their boss first.
Tarpaulin cloak with possible RCM markings is still caught.
Fair. See, take my pants off. Nope. Okay.
Tarpaulin cloak with possible RCM markings is still caught on the railing. As you leap in the air, a chilly breeze engulfs you, sharpening your senses. As the concrete floor welcomes you, you realize it's been a while since you felt so alive. Alert, capable. Must be the adrenaline.
I knew you could do it. My climbing down might not have been as disco as your jump, but at least we can explore the harbor now.
With your feet firmly planted on the concrete, the noise of the harbor rushes back in.
Okay, so that's statistical improvement. I think there's stuff in here.
An imposing combination of a punch clock and a payphone is looking down at you from the wall. A note on the side says, "Tokens unavailable due to strike. Use change." On second glance, someone has forgotten to properly close one of the drawers.
It's unfortunate for the Union to just leave their paperwork lying around like this.
The drawer opens smoothly. Inside is a well-organized selection of brown folders. Hundreds of documents containing logistical data. Two kinds of transactions stand out. Materials coming into Revachol from the outside world, from Muindi, Grad, and even Ilmara. And the same materials being handed over to companies inside Revachol. Kuron, Coal City, La Delta, and Jamrock are listed among the many districts where the imports are being sold. It's hard to make sense of this thicket of company names, dates, quantities, and percentages. You try to focus, but the lines are getting blurry. Whatever's hidden here is hidden well. Concentration isn't enough. Only a trained accountant with a background in logistics would be able to really make sense of it. However, there is a little handwritten note stuck on the side of the drawer. It appears to be a to-do list written in large, uneven capital letters. Remember, Leo, Everard's shoes, special whirling borscht, water Everard's plants, sweep office floor, more banners. All items on the list have been crossed out, and the note itself is crumpled.
Everard Clare, probably. The head of the Debarders Union. One of his aides must have left it. Nothing incriminating here.
The special borscht seems a bit odd in the list. What is so special about this borscht? Code for drugs? Booze? Blood? Remember, Leo, Everard, all items on the list. The drawer slides shut, smooth.
Alright, I'm gonna put those on if I need visual calculus, but drama kind of firing off at random's actually not bad. Should probably give myself another morale point. I need get myself another hit point too. I think this will unlock the door. Oh. Trying to make sure. I want to go talk to Everard last. So there's some stuff to explore around here.
This is the night watchman's booth. The name on the door reads, René Arnaud. Listen, it's okay to take a few minutes to yourself. Sit down and have a breather.
If you must. But please hurry. We are pretty easy to spot up here.
Nothing incriminating catches your eye. The cabinets are clean and their sparse contents meticulously organized. There's a framed photograph on the table.
Let's get going. The entire neighborhood can see us up here.
Oh yeah, okay, maybe I'm supposed to. I should probably get Everard out of the way.
A rusting control panel with several knobs. 2 buttons marked Marche and Arrête are faded with use. It seems to control the large crane above. A container is attached to its hook block. Marche. On. Arrête. Off. With a loud grind, the crane shifts overhead, moving a massive metal container through the air. With a surprisingly quiet thunk, the crane places the container down. The harbor sleeps as the strike rages in the distance. The crane can rest again, now that its purpose has been fulfilled. The rusty control panel grows warm to the touch, then grows cold. It is finished. A faint smell of burning rubber reaches your nostrils. A short circuit.
I can't see how that was worth the wreckers. Except for seeing the crane in action, which I admit was satisfying.
Before you stands a cargo container, just one of many in the yard.
You do? Because I don't. There are 1 million containers here. Why are you fixating on this one? There may very well be, but we are not here to look for that. We are not here to interact with containers. We are here to get the body down from the tree.
No reply. The knock produces a hollow ring of metal. Doesn't sound like there's anything inside the container. You attempt to turn the handle, to no avail. The doors seem to be mechanically locked. To your left, the lieutenant considers your actions with some puzzlement. Why are you even trying to open a door with rhetoric?
Because what wasn't an option? Now is not the time to get philosophical, detective. You can do that after hours.
If I remember correctly, I think this is one of those things where there's like a cool optional thing in there that's just extremely hard to actually get to. And see how many levels I can spare into rhetoric. Actually, I legitimately don't. I know I've heard what's inside there before, but I don't think I ever actually saw it myself.
Container, container, I'll turn you nice and red. Container, container, put the logos on.
The lyrics to this container song are being made up as he goes along. The accent is so thick, it's impossible not to notice he's Ubi, from the vanishing peninsula of Ubisunt on Muindi.
Container, container, used to be Wild Pines. Container, container, now belongs to Everard. Everard, 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 he looks after everyone. Huh?
Well, hey there. How can I help you, mister? I see you are not a union man, mister. Did you get lost? You're not one of them scabs, are you? I mean, I don't personally mind. Folks is just folks, you know, and folks gotta eat. Just some of the other guys don't look too kindly on the scabbing kind, if you know what I mean, mister. Oh, you want Mr. Everard then? He's an awfully nice fellow, he is. Him and his brother are both nice fellows. They've lived their entire lives in this here neighborhood. Guys like Mr. Everard and Mr. Edgar, his brother, are real good guys. Made Martinez what it is today. Mr. Everard and Mr. Edgar and I went to the same school, we did, when we were boys. Oh, Mr. Everard is where he always is. In his office, of course. Oh, yes. Born and raised in Irish, mister. Mum had to leave my dad after he got a bit violent. Took us here to the new world. I was about 10 then. Too old to lose my accent then. People say us Ubis are up to all sorts of trouble with sheep and other animals and whatnot. I just want you to know there was never any of that where I come from. No, sir. Those are just nasty rumors.
Thank you for clarifying that, sir.
Oh, I'm just making some covers for them containers here. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. So it's easier for the crane operators to spot them.
The containers in the yard are green in Wild Pine's livery, and the mountains rising behind Leo is all red in Union colors. It's like some red infection was spreading outwards from the container yard's core. There appear to be cisterns underneath the Union container covers.
Yes, they are hiding it from the inside. All the red containers have the Debarders Union logo on them.
No, not really. Mr. Everett doesn't tell me all the big things. Says I go and tell them to everyone. Oh, I don't know, mister. They say it's some chemicals. Most of them have labels on them, I think. Oh, no trouble at all, mister. No trouble at all. Oh, most of the guys are down at the gates, keeping the scabs from coming in. We're on a strike. The whole union is. You don't have to work when you're on strike. Ha! We haven't worked for 2 months now.
So no one is working?
Not everyone is down there, of course. Mr. Everard is in his office, where he always is. And Jean-Luc is guarding the gate. But Titus and his boys got into some drunken trouble and Everard sent them on a nice vacation. For a week or so. Oh, I'm not really supposed to talk about that. That's union business. Him and his boys stirred up something in town. Probably drank too much and got into a fight or something. I heard Mr. Everett telling him to take some time off. I guess the boys got a bit too rowdy and had to let out some steam. I don't really know the details. That's just how boys are, you know. I haven't been in a fight since I was in middle school.
Easy, Leo. Let's keep this on the hearties.
Look at him. It's not going to be anything useful anyway. Don't fight it. Better to go with the flow.
I remember I was the runt of the class. The bigger boys always used to pick on me. You see, I had a bit of a temper back in the day. Flew off the handle like nobody's business. But Mr. Everett and his brother always came to help. Once they beat old Noel Becker so bad he needed stitches on his head. Noel never started another fight with anyone after this. Mr. Everett and Mr. Edgar are real nice guys, mister. You should go talk to Mr. Everett. I'm sure you'll be good friends. He's friends with everyone around here. Yes. Everybody needs a job, and this is mine. I'm Leonard, by the way. Leonard Bellick. But everyone calls me Leo. I'm like Mr. Everett's right-hand man when Mr. Edgar is out of town. And Mr. Edgar's right-hand man when Mr. Everett is away. Actually, Miss Beaufort is the right-hand man, but she's a lady.
Who is this, Miss Beaufort?
A real pretty lady with a skin like those Douai Sucre candy bars my missus likes so much. Them are real nice to suckle on once the dinner is done and me and the missus sit down beside the radio. But I can't listen to the radio all the time. There's so much to do around here and I'm always busy keeping things running here. Yes, I am. Oh, Lizzie, she is a real sharp tool. Mr. Everett put her through some fancy school and everything, east of the river. 4 years she was gone, and when she came back, she was all fancy and lawyerly.
He respects that word. That's obvious.
But she's a real nice girl. Grew up in this here neighborhood. Knows everybody and gets along with everyone. Real pillar of the community one day, I'm sure. If me missus and me was to have a child, I'd be real happy if she turned out like her. But she can't have kids. Dr. Lemaitre said so, and she knows about such things. Been a doctor for almost 50 years, she has.
So Everett trained a lawyer named Miss Beaufort. Interesting.
Yes, this place really seems to run like clockwork. Keep it up, Leo.
Well, thanks a lot. Coming from you, it means a lot, really. Sometimes I feel some of the guys don't really get how much I bust my ass for them here. But you guys are all right. Oh, yes, yes. I leave all kinds of notes for myself. That old head of mine ain't so good at keeping things in no more. I almost forgot about the borscht. Oh, yes. I've been taking special whirling borscht to the men every day since the strike started. It's very, very good. Makes a man feel so warm and happy. I feel like I could take on Mr. Renadan's boar dogs every time the lunch is done.
Power borscht, huh? Never heard of a borscht that turns little guys into dogfighters. Alcohol, however.
Yes, yes. I'm taking it to them. The borscht keeps them happy and in fighting spirits. Makes you all warm inside. They brew it in the whirling in rags. Oh, the whirling's cook. He makes it. Them is always talking with Mr. Manana in that weird language and laughing together. He doesn't speak what we speak. He's from Grad. Oh, sure, mister. Sure. You do that. Yes, sir.
He didn't actually understand what you meant, and now he's just nodding along.
Oh, that one. That should be empty as far as I know. Lots of containers here have nothing in them. They're just waiting to be loaded up.
Told you.
Bye-bye now.
For sure.
Before you is a walrus of a man seated behind a large desk. He looks up from his work, not the least bit surprised to see you. With great effort, he straightens himself up in his chair, yet says nothing. He simply stares at you.
Welcome, Mr. Dubois, Mr. Kitsuragi. It's good of you two to stop by. Please, have a seat. I'm Everard Clare, head of the Debarders Union here in Martinez. I'd offer you my hand, but unfortunately my health prevents me from getting up. You understand?
He looks extremely comfortable. The tiny folding chair, on the other hand, looks like a torture device.
You go ahead, detective.
Whatever he has in store for you, it can't be good, he thinks. I'll do my best. Forget about that. What's with this Dubois stuff? You're getting some seriously bad vibes from that name.
Please, Mr. Dubois, let us converse in a civilized manner, as equals. Take a seat. I insist.
It's nothing. Yes, that's probably right. It's nothing. Forget about it. Filter it out.
Excellent, Mr. Dubois. I can see that you're a reasonable man, and reasonable men can be of great use to one another. So tell me, how can the head of the Debarders Union help a representative of the Revachol Citizens Militia today?
The chair you're sitting on has got to be the most uncomfortable chair in the world. It's violating your backside.
Oh, by the way, I heard you got a rather rude reception from a certain Lawrence Gart. Some people have no manners, it pains me to say. This should take care of that nonsense. It should be sufficient to cover your expenses for a few days and patch over your differences with a cafeteria manager. Go ahead, take it.
Wow, that's 25 real. That's good money. You need it.
Don't mention it. But also don't forget it. I'm just kidding, of course.
He's not.
Now, I'd like to set your mind at ease about one other matter. Your lost gun. Let me assure you, Union people are on it as we speak. I've got my best hounds looking for that lost gun.
His slug-like lips move, but all you hear is an echo. Lost gun, lost gun, lost gun. The world is swallowed by a black hole of fear. Only 2 words escape its gravitational pull. Lost and gun. When he said, don't worry, he actually meant, be very worried.
Are you all right, Harry? You seem anxious. Don't be. Everything's going to be all right. It's not like you left it loaded. You didn't lose a loaded gun. Local children aren't out there playing with it right now, pointing it into their own mouths. It's in a safe place. I just know it. I have a feeling everything's going to be all right.
It was loaded. There were 2 bullets in it. You always keep at least 2 barrels loaded.
Officer, we will deal with this later. We don't need Mr. Clare's help with this.
I wouldn't be so sure about that.
Damn, probably just gonna make me take more
God,
damage.
You're sweating. Your knee is jerking. You're about to cry, aren't you? You're about to cry because you lost your gun and those children are gonna shoot themselves with it.
Mr. Dubois, you don't look so good.
What is this, Mr. Dubois? He keeps repeating. What is he trying to pull here? You need to cool the fuck down. Chill.
Mr. Dubois! Mr. Dubois! Harry! Mr. Dubois, are you okay? Can I get you a glass of water or something? Are you having some kind of medical emergency?
Maybe you could use your hands somehow, in a kind of throw-in motion, like you're throwing that Mr. Dubois act right back at him. He's Mr. Dubois.
I'm gonna see what happens if I just say this.
What an odd demonstration of... you got me, Harry. I don't even know what. As entertaining as it was, I'm afraid we're wasting our time. And I'm an extremely busy man, as I'm sure you are too.
Okay, enough. We are here to ask you some questions pertaining to a murder investigation.
Quick, here's your window. Get yourself together and ask him questions. Police officer questions.
You might have noticed there's one hanging on a tree behind the hostel cafeteria.
Oh my. Don't take this question personally, but why would I get involved in this matter?
Mr. Clare, the man was hanged with a cargo belt. A steel-reinforced cargo belt. It's safe to assume the Union had something to do with the murder. Besides, getting the body down would benefit all of us. It's a stain on the neighborhood.
I can certainly see how having him up there might start affecting some real estate values. But of course, all joking aside, I am going to help you. Jean-Luc, my boy, I'm sending 2 police officers down. They have a dead body in a tree problem they need help with. Namely, they need it to be taken down. And Jean, please take it easy with the race science. That's a yes to getting the body down, no to the race science. You can find Jean-Luc down at the gates. He's the big, impressive one. You know, tattoos, muscles, ethnic looking. Can't miss him. Great guy. Oh, of course. That's your main thing here. That's why you're in Martinez. I know everything that goes on around here, and I would love to help you, like I'm helping you with the body. I mean, it's no secret that the lynching is connected to the strike. So much to talk about. Honestly, it's been weighing on me so heavily. I understand you need to interview me. But there's a thing that's been keeping me up at night. I want to talk about the hanging. I mean, if we could just calmly talk, exchange information, we could blow this thing wide open.
Yes, that sounds good. Let's do that.
But I can't think straight with this thing weighing on me. You're police officers, aren't you? I have a crazy idea. You guys are basically door-opening machines, incredibly talented at opening doors. And I'm sure you're going to open this one with flying colors, Harry. This really is very simple, and there's nothing shady about it.
An excellent opportunity presents itself, sire. You could win the trust of the arch-liar, pretend to play into his hand. Then, should you wish, bend his efforts towards your own.
Oh, no one's. It's just a weasel. A weasel lives there. Nothing for you to worry about. Harry, I'm a very busy man, and more importantly, I don't have that extraordinary physique you do. You look like you could run around all day.
You want to send someone a message that the police are working for you.
I repeat, I'm a very, very busy man, Mr. Kitsuragi, and therefore I must occasionally enlist outside help. So what will it be, Harry? Fantastic, my friend. Just let me know when it's done and we can take our friendship to the next level. You can get the key from Manana. He's down by the gates. Manana's like a free agent in the Union. Special operations. Hardened socialist. A real free thinker, too. He'll tell you precisely where the door is. One last thing, Harry. Just open the door. You don't need to go in or anything. I just want that weasel to come home and see the unlocked door.
Yeah, I'll probably just do it. Don't think it actually helps with the investigation, but
Harry, honestly, I'm just relieved you didn't get a hernia. A man your age... Yes, yes, Harry. You are obviously in peak physical condition, and I salute both your initiative and your physical prowess. Very impressive, Harry. Very impressive. Anyway, I assure you, I am a very well-informed man. Information reaches me before I even get the chance to request it. Of course, let us dispatch with the formalities. You call me Everard, I call you Harry.
That's what the hanged corpse called you. Harry.
My God, so it's true. I didn't want to believe it, but you are a fantastic science fiction amnesiac cop, aren't you? What are the odds of that?
I think the odds of that are very low.
It might be a good idea to hide your confusion. I mean, see what his game is first.
So good to hear that, Harry. Apparently my sources were wrong. However, if you did have a spot of memory trouble, I could help you out. With my big fat folder.
Words flow like a river of honey from his lips. I guess word has already reached him. No matter. No harm done. It's just a brown folder. You can't make out what's written on it.
Are you trying to tell me you've gotten hold of some of our documents?
Mr. Kitsuragi, would you mind? Me and Harry are talking about his lost identity right now.
Don't just jump to the folder. That's not smart. Shows you're on the edge. Do some probing first.
It's Harry. Harry Dubois.
You don't feel like either one of these things. You know what your name is. You have a sophisticated name, like that of a count, or a beautiful man.
And I can work with you, Harry. Now, what else can I do for you? Family? Harry. You're not a family man. There's not one peep of family in here. Unless you think you're a family man. Do you strike yourself as a family man, Harry? Well, yes. I'm sure you're going to make one little boy or a girl very happy and proud one day, Harry. Harry, you're not simply a cop, you're a star. A bright shining star in the drab law enforcement sky, outshining all other stars. You're a superstar. Of course I do, Harry. And I'm gonna help you shine. I'm gonna put you on all the big stages, your name in giant neon letters. Harry Dubois. Ah, this? My friends in your organization gave it to me, Harry.
This translates into, haha, you guys are so corrupt.
I find that very suspicious. May I have a look?
I'm afraid this is meant for Union eyes only, Mr. Kitsuragi. I'm sure you understand. Please continue, Harry.
As you look at the folder, Everard covers it with his hand and pets it. He's hiding it from you because it's not a real RCM folder. It's just another one of those brown folders you saw in the file cabinet.
Okay, Harry, you got me. This is from the Census Bureau, not the RCM. Those Census Bureau people are absolutely corrupt. You should do something about them.
He got the name from the Census Bureau, and everything else from your actions here in Martinez.
Yes, Mr. Kitsuragi, from the Census Bureau. Like I said, now I'm actually a very busy man. So is there anything else I can do for you, Harry?
That means he doesn't really know anything about you. A pity. The mystery of you will have to remain a mystery for the time being.
Yes, that's what I said. Try to keep up, okay? Let's move on. My dear Harry, there are literally millions of containers in this harbor. I couldn't possibly remember what's in all of them. Harry, you smooth-talking son of a bitch. Time is a precious resource, and I don't have enough of it to count containers with you.
Smooth talking. Maybe that's the way to go about opening the container. You should at least try convincing it.
Wait. You need this to get in and out through the gate. Here, you're one of us now. A real red and white Union man. Take care, Harry.
Okay, take it to the Freet. And cool. Okay, let's see. I still gotta. See, pick up those dice, pay rent. I got the whole, all that stuff to the west of the shopping district. Day 3, I believe that opens up the second half of the game. Let's see if I can try again at the...
You're back before the cargo
okay.
container. Its draw has not lessened since you were last here. If anything, it seems to have grown slightly.
And I think This definitely is one of those games where it's kind of feels like further you go into it, it kind of feels like the pace just kind of picks up, and although that might just be more stuff actually starts happening.
So, how'd you like our harbor?
You've been in there, he means. Talked to the boss man too, probably.
It's but a rest area on the path leading across open plains. Right. You talk to the boss, eye to eye, like men of the plain. If you have any more questions, I'm set to talk. A key, huh? What door is this key supposed to open? Oh, say no more. I got that key right here. And let me tell you, it's mighty good of you to help us out during the strike. Working class solidarity, as they say.
I think, let's see. Can't remember if it's 5 days or a week you have to solve the case, but you could theoretically fuck up so bad you make the game unwinnable, but it's pretty much you can go and explore every area, talk to every character, still have like more than enough time to spare. I think it's just books you want to save those for if you absolutely have no other way to pass time, or read them after Kim's already gone to bed and you don't have anything you want to do without him. Let's see.
I knew this man was a commie. And it's a good thing you're doing too. Thanks. What you're looking for is a basement door behind the greenhouse. That's behind the whirling and rags. That's all I know. Our organization is what you call compartmentalized. Means we keep out of each other's business.
Okay, but where did you get the key from?
The janitor gave it to me. Nice fella. We talked about life and things that really, truly matter. None of this mess we're in. This jiving and juggling. What's it for? To feed our children, I guess. I'm more of a philosophical dock worker. I like to talk about the big picture stuff. Who I am, who you are, what we are fighting for.
He means he's not going to tell you, cause he doesn't know. But he will shoot his mouth off with you now that you're working for Everard.
We're negotiating our share. Aye. This stuff, they already covered. Never grateful. Were we ever grateful, we'd have nothing. You fight for every piece. All of it. However, right now we want all the harbor workers to be on the company's board, so they could take part in the decision-making process.
This seditious talk sounds like communism. Just so we're on the same page, communism is basically wanting to kill the rich people, or deporting them to a labor camp in southeast Grad. But don't say that out loud if you're a communist.
No. I don't think I'm a communist. Seeing something of value and saying I want it all to myself is a much older and simpler notion. No science to it at all. Even a weak child can think it. The only things holding someone back are I can't and I shouldn't. Just the way the world works, boyadero. I think it's best you make up your own mind now that you've met him. In my eyes, he is a capable organizer and a decent businessman. I guess you kind of get to be the village chief. He oversees the harbor, makes deals with the owners or other relevant parties, watches out for his own.
By that, you mean corruption?
By heavens, why would he not be corrupt? We live in a harsh and disordered world, see? And in this world, the old man is corrupt for our benefit, and we know it. Appreciate it even. He is, personally, not too lavish. Okay, he's reasonably lavish, sure. That's his prerogative. It's not like you want a saintly demeanor on a corrupt motherfucker. That would be a manipulative illusion. Besides, there are no non-corrupt systems in the world anyway, and moralism is the most corrupt of them all.
This man has political theory, and it has not failed him today.
Sure, I've had the necessary free time. Fortunately, there's always time.
The look in his brown eyes conjures up an understanding. For him, having command of his time is the most important thing. It all comes together now. The way he speaks about scabs, his general attitude. He's a follower of a 500-year-old Franco-Nigerian Boyadero code, itself an appropriation of Vespertine cool. That of a noble peasant or a traveling herdsman. True to yourself, independent in your actions, loyal to your friends. No. No. The man sits on the railing, his hands reaching far and wide, yet it feels as if he could, effortlessly, go even wider, if need be, an endless torrent of time.
The mercenary, eh? Who could have killed him? That's indeed the question. Why even do such a thing? What a thought! Why would noble workers resort to such a thing? Unless they were pushed, of course. Your dead guy was an enemy combatant. He was an agent of the opposition, attempting to undermine our honorable efforts. I ain't the murdering type, but that's just me. Large organizations like our union have all sorts of men, with all sorts of skills.
He's not lying about not doing it himself.
Understood. This has been of limited use.
No problem. I wish the best to you in your search. Sure, I'm glad it's not my search.
Oh, come on, come on. Ah, there we go. Right. I gotta talk to Measurehead first. Shit.
Your race descent has only worsened since I last saw you. You have really let yourself go. I am not the first line of defense. I am the last. In addition, these so-called hardy boys are an effeminate clique of bodybuilders. Their company is spiritually degraded.
You pick up on something artificial in his tone, like he's putting on an act. This is unlike him. He is usually more himself.
The hardy manlets are on the pay of the company. I answer to the union alone. And I do this out of race heroism. Finance is an alien concept to the Simmons. Now leave me be. I must luxuriate in the company of my woman. Fine. They have recently fallen under the influence of a possibly sexually perverted female vagrant and a narcotics peddler. It's shameful. Find out for yourself, endomorphic blob.
It's the blonde woman from the beginning of the game. And I can't remember who the drug dealer is.
Interesting.
So it was. You surmounted the harbor wall in a display of athletic prowess to reach my superior. Then had him give me an order. I salute your cunning, and I will remove the body from the tree with my bare hands.
You're so noble, Measurehead.
There's a but.
But While I am gone, someone must stand guard on the bridge. That someone needs to be you. Both of you. Babe, see that they stay here the whole time.
The woman's gaze follows Measurehead as he leaves.
So, you guys are like cops or something? Have you ever thought that maybe things should go to shit? I'm Katya, by the way.
You hear that? That sound? He's breaking something.
Yeah, Jean-Luc must be really tearing it up over there. I wish I could see it.
Look at you! RCM rent-a-cops! Guarding that bridge like Everott's lapdogs! Is this where it's at now? The RCM is for sale!
And who are you? What is your business here? Why are your clothes 4 sizes too small for you?
I gotta say that.
A shrill laughter interrupts you, echoing across Martinez. It's Kuno. Then, the man turns to look behind him at the behemoth appearing around the corner, approaching him, walking past him.
The corpse has been removed from the tree. Stand down and congratulate yourself. You have sided with Ray's victory today. And what you had to do was to become a Union man for all to see.
Is this about the questions again? Because I don't really know anything. A warehouse? I don't know. Maybe. I don't really care what Frit does.
She scrunches up her face into an expression of consummate adolescent skepticism.
Fine. Frit doesn't have a warehouse. Just a little back room here. Okay? Wow. I didn't know you worked for the Union, sir. Anything else I can do for you?
Oh, that guy always gives people giant novelty checks. It's a pretty good power move.
No, you don't work for the Union. The Union works for you by supplying you with cash. Blow the whole thing on speed and gin right now. Speed and gin. Great combo. Ask some local dealers, maybe.
If some speed or gin falls into my lap, maybe. Yeah. I think my first time through the game, I just did. He's trying to get clean the whole time, and I think it had a little bit of an effect on the story, but it didn't seem like the game would like punish you or anything if you wanted to do drugs. Just kind of different.
You missed a good show before. A kid came by and completely fucked the tree to pieces.
He fucked the geometry up. Fucked it good. It was porno.
By the way, kipped is a racial slur. You need to act decisively. It's Kuno. Use Kuno words.
Okay, that first one's just gonna get Kuno to laugh at me. That's being even more racist.
Stop choking, Kuno! The faggot has got you in a chokehold!
Kuno's not fucking choking. Kuno's back to full power now. He doesn't give a shit about kips and retards. Let's talk normal shit. Fuck did you want anyway? You got your fuck bag down? Shoot that shit at Kuno, Pigonaut.
I'm not going to buy speed. Buy speed from Kuno. Alright. Empathy. Yeah.
You found Kuno's secret door to Kuno's secret shack. It was closed for 5,000 years. How the fuck did you get in? Shit. Get the fuck out of here. You can't do that.
He can't do that, Kuno. He's trying to fuck at you again.
Pigs can't displace. Can't do that teleport shit. How did you like it in there, pig old boy? Kuno's got a lot of cool shit there, right? Oh, that? Kuno decapitates pigs. That's just a Kuno demo tape. Yeah, Kuno plays on snuff radio, fucks pigs, live, fucks their heads off. Kuno's a cop killer. That's where Kuno gets his daily hit of electric. Kuno Shazam. Kuno rides the fucking lightning in there, pig.
Bet you'd like to ride the lightning too, wouldn't you? You feel tired and old, but you could have that sparkle in your eyes.
It's a vitamin, pig. Don't you know anything?
You could use some.
Yeah, it's the mag. You fucking need that shit to stay on top of your game. Kuno goes through like a tube a day, rips mag like a motherfucker, and you could use a battle.
I'll definitely taking that many magnesium supplements would probably give you pretty bad diarrhea, but...
Oh, don't teach him, Kuno! He's gonna use it against you, Kuno!
You're not getting this, pig. It completely takes away the hangover. It's like you didn't do anything. Like you stayed home playing with your choo-choo.
Fuck you, pig! Don't do mag! You're gonna OD and you're gonna fucking die!
Good call, Pigmeister. Don't come and talk to Kuno about his kingdom. The fuck about it? Kuno doesn't give a shit about the armor. Kuno's fuck gimp's got one big thing wrong with him. He's a fucking mutant. Look at him. Fucking growth hormone shit. He's a giant. The armor's too big for any man. Kuno doesn't give a shit about that freak armor. Kuno threw that shit away. Kuno tried to get the helmet on. It was too big. Kuno kicked that shit in the sea, rugby style. That shit means nothing to Kuno. Yeah, that shit means nothing to Kuno. Kuno doesn't give a shit about material shit. Kuno's a fucking monk. You wanna fuck on someone about that armor? Go fuck the mustached union fuck. The jolly troubadour shit at the gate. Yeah, cock in boot. You know that jolly union cow fucker? Came around talking about cows or some shit? Came around pretending like he cares about cows?
Yes, you met him at the gates. The one with the boots and the jolly smile.
Yeah, He's the one you want to talk to. He's fucking crazy about that armor shit. Coming here pretending like he likes cows. Trying to catch a peep at Kuno's armor.
Curious, my liege. Why did Kuno feed you this information?
Yeah, Kuno's doing charity today. Kuno Day. Kuno feels sorry for you two loser pigs. Kuno's doing pity now.
Still, seems suspicious. He may have it in for that guy. Or you may be paranoid. That is also a possibility, sire.
Fuck are you talking about? What is this contusion shit?
He says you're stupid, Kuno. They want to make you stupid again.
Oh, did Kuno make your shit sniffing harder? Obstruction of shit sniffing. This is Kuno's kingdom. Kuno fucking rules here.
You hear the lieutenant hum.
You're testing Kuno's patience here.
Get lost,
Kuno doesn't fucking care.
The corpse lies on the ground among the remains of an absolutely demolished pinewood branch. It's gently laid on one side.
Mr. Measurehead has done a good job. Nothing is too broken or compromised. The victim is ready for a field autopsy. Yes. 1. Investigation of the scene. 2. Initial examination of the victim. 3. Field autopsy. 4. Transportation of the body to the morgue. We are on number 3.
The RCM's 4-phase murder scene processing manual.
The fuck are they on about?
Cop's gonna cut his shit up.
It's not about cutting. And no, you and I are detectives. The honorary rank of detective signifies our ability to handle the entire incident chain, from autopsy to cleanup to social work. An honor and a burden attached to your rank once you've proven yourself able, usually after 5 to 8 years of field work. Mine is Lieutenant Detective. You are. Your station would not have assigned you on this case if you weren't. Now, the way I see it, it's either this, or we complete the initial interviews. We already met Evrard, that only leaves the Wild Pines representative. There's one in town, negotiating the strike. She could have information. Not much later, I hope. He's about to melt away soon.
Yeah, I gotta kind of skip over all the other stuff on the other side of town and just talk to the Wild Pines rep. It's another
There are several footprints
important conversation.
left by work boots. Anywhere from 6 to 12 pairs have walked here.
Okay, and visual calculus. Make sure I'm not. Alright, cool. That's visual calculus, psyche. No, it's intellect. Okay. Visual calculus also gives you the cool, like, Sherlock scenes where you get to see all the putting together all the clues and stuff. So it's always a fun skill to level up in this.
There are several footprints in the mud, left by work boots. Anywhere from 6 to 12 pairs have walked here. Maybe more than 12. No, 8 pairs of boots have shuffled back and forth in the mud. 1. Standard work boot, steel reinforced toes, number 46. 2. Standard work boot, steel reinforced toes, number 44. 3. Hobnailed work boot, steel reinforced toes, number 43. 4. Standard work boot. Number 45 or 46? You don't know. It's a miracle you can tell the prints apart as it is. The cold must have preserved them. 5. Another standard work boot. Steel reinforced toes. Number 44. 6. An aberration. Light as air. Even pace. Same make of boot, but number 41. Impossible to tell. Could also have been an adolescent. The gate is undeveloped. You're not bad. It's as if the whole world darkens. Everything else has a thin film of unimportance on it, and the tracks burn in the middle of it, in a strange, beautiful way. 7. The glowing outline of a standard work boot, number 46. But the imprints are twice as deep as the others. The weight exceeds 200 kilograms. 8. And yet another standard work boot, number 44. There's an aberration in the pattern of the sole, however. The right sole is smoother, more worn.
How many? I was pretty off then. I counted 20. I never got the hang of it. Hyperopia. Do you see anything out of the ordinary? Interesting. Let's name it the old soul. Someone operating a workbench with a pedal? Like a joiner at the harbor. Or maybe a drummer? No, it's not. Forget I said it. We are not looking for a drummer. Perhaps it could be a driver. A driver would wear out the right shoe before the left. The accelerator is on the right. We should keep our eyes open around the traffic jam. See whether anyone strikes out as a potential suspect. Seems prudent, no? Mm-hmm. A woman? Or a kid? Okay. How do you know?
He knows it's hard to discern sex from a person's gait.
Understood. Anything else? 200? Could it be the combined weight of two people, one carrying the other who's tied up? Let's say a heavily built worker carrying a similarly built, soon-to-be-dead man.
He might be right. 200 kilograms of living weight is unlikely.
Possibly, yes.
But why?
Yes, they could have used a makeshift stretcher or just march him up to the gallows. Even easier to carry on a stretcher, or between two men. Anyway, it's for future consideration. What else can you see? A week, maybe? 7 days would fit the time frame provided to us by the caller, who reported the hanging.
It is not impossible.
I pulled last week's forecast for coastal Havashol. 7 days below freezing. The day before, the day of his hanging, was the last warm day.
Correct again. Sub-zero temperatures would preserve the tracks in a good state. The commotion here could have taken place a week ago.
What do I think? A mob of people brought something heavy to the tree. One of them was carrying the victim. They shuffled around, especially under the tree. Then, after hoisting him up, they stood in a semicircle facing his direction. At first glance, this appears to be a lynching.
Indeed. They all stood in a row here and looked at the tree. Yes, everything fits so well. Carried him over, hoisted him up, watched him hang. This is easy. The lieutenant's eyes narrow. He's thinking to himself.
Either way. What else?
Okay, I'm just gonna take a break for a couple minutes. Bathroom, coffee, all that. Alright. Alright. Let's say at least one more hour today, maybe longer. See how tired I am then. Good thing I've said before, I'd love be fun to stay up all night streaming, but I just don't have anything to do tomorrow until the afternoon, but not as easy to stay up all night as it was before I had a job.
What have you here? A bridge with loose nails and rotten-infested wood that creaks in the wind. A construction code violation if there ever was one.
True. They never cleaned up the wall damage. The rest of Revachol looks better, though.
No, I'm just going over to my dad's house for Father's Day. So I'm gonna say probably no stream tomorrow, but I don't know. I might be, if I'm back home early enough, it's possible. But I gotta work. Go back to work on Monday. Then it's actually a week with all my hours cut down. But then a long weekend and fucking crazy week where I work 40 hours. I go to work at 8 p.m. Work 40 hours over 4 days. So it's gonna be at least one night where I get real sleep deprived. Gonna try to do it on stream. Yeah, it's setting up. God, it's getting all the seasonal back to school stuff set up for whatever. Get all the stuff a month or two in advance, so it's ready for when all the the kids go back to school and all the college students come in. But then they also the last 2 hours of my shift, I'm on the truck unload line because they ride my ass about shit, and then it's like they can never get enough young people to do it.
The bridge is fine enough. Locals use it all the time, after all. It's nothing to worry about. Shall we?
Oh, this in the game, this is... I haven't noticed. They say that it's... I don't know. It doesn't feel that much different from how it used to be. They say it's visual calculus. This is the kind of thing in this game when you pump a score up, it just starts firing off at crazy points. Like, if my visual calculus wasn't as high as it was, you just walk over the bridge and nothing would pop up. I think every single skill in the game can have it happen. I think some do it more than others. Like I said, for a first time playthrough, pumping up Inland Empire is a really good one, just because you get lots of... doesn't really change affect the game too much, but it gives you a whole bunch of cool detective narration, and zooms out, shows the whole city, just all sorts of weird things. And Esprit du Corps gives you little asides where it talks about what all the other cops are doing. This is the... You'll ever ruin your life. Yep. This is the company rep.
A striking woman leans against the cabin top of her sailing boat, smiling as you approach. Her green raincoat glistens with droplets. A silk scarf is tied around her throat.
Good morning, officers. I'm Joyce. Joyce L. Messier. I represent the board of Wild Pines, the owners of the harbour. You gentlemen must be from the RCM. Nothing, honestly. I've said it to every drunk in town, and you're the first one who's responded.
Relax. She meant it in jest.
Beaton, my maiden name.
I'll shake her hand. I'm gonna be more of a union guy, but I'm not gonna.
I'm glad to see you here.
I won't be harsh to her.
I was dispatched to handle a strike, not a lynching. Anything I can do to assist the RCM in this matter, I will, gladly.
That is good to hear, madame. My colleague will take the lead on this interview. I should let you know that he is recovering from an unusual medical episode. Very unusual. But I can assure you of his ultimate competency.
How interesting. I wish you a swift recovery. In the meanwhile, you have my full cooperation, and the full cooperation of the Wild Pines Group. Why, yes I am. The boat? No. It is called Cor de Lady 19, because that's the type of sloop it is. My sloop? I like it a lot. It's the eel's hips, baby.
I'm enjoying this part of the interview. It has so little to do with the murder we're investigating.
Of course there are. We're on an archipelago. How else are you supposed to get around? Yes, we are. We are on Le Caillou.
Technically, the neighboring Ozone and Fas Alamer island groups are archipelagos, while La Caillou, by contrast, is a single fertile landmass, the fourth largest island in the world. It is not an archipelago.
Okay, if you want to get technical. The point is, we're all on islands here, and sail is still the most expedient way to get from one island to another, especially when you're in a hurry to resolve a strike. I haven't seen anyone else drive a souped-up Capri Kenema motor carriage either.
Actually, that motor carriage has been specially issued to serve as a patrol and pursuit vehicle. It's for crossing long distances in the greater Ravachol industrial harbor. It's not a toy.
Neither is this. A toy, I mean. It's a machine for crossing long distances in the Bay of Revachol, between the city and the islands.
You need to make this lady admit she's only riding around on this boat because she's rich. You have the guns and the ammo. Take this Clausen fiend down.
Oh my, the E word. You mean to say that it's a symbol of conspicuous consumption? That I'm a member of the ruling class?
Detective, may I remind you that Mrs. Messier is a professional negotiator?
Then what does that say? Does it say, docking reserved for residents of Rue de Saint-Ghislain, 33A? 33A? This old proletarian haunt here? As I said, plenty of people drive boats, of all social strata.
Your synapses flesh.
Let's see, which one?
Okay, it is anti-centennial. I assure you, they drove quite a hard bargain for this space, but you're right. I am a bourgeois woman, and this is my fast, lightweight, interminably bourgeois boat. Officer, I assure you I'm a highly qualified pleasure craft operator.
The crowns of her teeth are porcelain, white as the boat's hull as she smiles. Her nonchalance might be related to something called the Wayfarer Act, a law that says she doesn't need a license. Sly fox, you're not aggressive enough to harass her further on this.
Good. What we do? I'm afraid I don't speak for Wild Pines as a whole. It's a giant undertaking.
There was a touch of discomfort there. She wants to merely represent.
The Pines' core competency is logistics. Container shipping, freight, that sort of thing. See those airships there, blinking? Those are the shipping side of things. And that is the terminal. Another subdivision deals with energy, oil and gas exploration, offshore platforms.
The Wild Pines Group is one of the original Revacholian Indo-tribes. Companies awarded royal monopolies by the king, the suzerain himself, centuries ago. The king is long gone, but several of the Indo-tribes remain. Son Baptiste, Elysium, an unknown entity known as Brightest Star.
Why, thank you. I'm not at liberty to discuss the company balance sheet, but I can tell you that last year, the company booked more than 20 billion real in revenue. Yes, past a certain point, numbers begin to seem imaginary, but they are quite real for the 72,000 employees who depend on Wild Pines for their paychecks. A conglomerate the size of Wild Pines is like a shark. If it stops moving and growing, it will die. Then what becomes of those 72,000 families? It is a tremendous responsibility. They started as an exploration and cargo fleet conducting trade between the Samaran and Insulindian Easterlers 250 years ago, when Pine ships explored the South Seminese and charted Lomantang on behalf of the suzerain. Centuries of care, deliberation, and madness have gone into this endeavor. Vessels pass through the great unrest to re-emerge with apricots in tow. The logic of the system is totalizing. It's taken everything from its employees to build it. You know more than you let on. Certainly it helped, but most of the original Indo tribes have failed or been absorbed. To survive, Wild Pines had to grow and adapt. No suzerain did that. You mean aside from being the terminal's legal owners, who are responsible for moving 8% of the world's cargo? We built this district.
We. There it is. She owns up to it.
All the best parts of it. Rue de Saint-Ghislain, with its bastions, the plazas Meteor and Mosaic. Even some of the old street lamps have been put back thanks to the investments from the WP. Before Martinez was swallowed by the industrial harbour, even before it was part of Revachol, long before Terminal B was erected here, the Pines built it as a resort for its Revacholian employees. A company getaway, for a weekend or a summer holiday. Then came the revolution. But that's another matter. I'm here to make sure the Pines can fulfill their responsibilities to the place they built.
With your help, hopefully, says her warm tone.
Everything. Right up to, but not including, trade secrets. First, you'd have to repeal the Emergencies Act of Trade in Elements. That gives me the right to silence. It's quite the octopus. Good luck is only kept in place by the vested interests of half the civilized world, including your own.
What the ma'am means is that the Emergencies Act and the RCM both get their authority from the coalition government.
You'd be shooting yourself in the foot, in other words.
But I am derailing us. You wanted to know about the strike. I believe the official title is Senior Labor Negotiator. In practice, I'm a grocery clerk. I relay the union's demands to Wild Pines and return with Wild Pines' counteroffer.
And how are the talks going?
They're not. That's the problem. The union stopped all negotiations a week ago, after that awful lynching took place. Now they won't even let me into the harbor. There's a 2-meter 20 racist behemoth blocking the gates. Yes, Jean-Luc Measurehead. Let's say I was not making the kind of progress I'd hoped for when I first arrived.
And when did you first arrive?
I arrived 3 weeks ago. Yes, in the middle of February. The bay was still partially frozen then. I prefer to do these things on site. like the RCM.
But the strike began in December.
I wasn't the original negotiator here. I took over after Mr. Gaumont hit a wall with Mr. Clare, the union boss. Mr. Clare refused to speak with Gaumont despite concessions he'd granted the union in prior negotiations.
This isn't the first time the union has gone on.
Heavens no. There have been 2 prior strikes. Both times the union won significant concessions, including overtime pay and a medical plan. This time their demands are more, I guess you could say, aggressive.
Ludicrous even. It's meant.
Mr. Clare told him to... how did he put it? Fuck off, midget. Gaumont is short of stature, you see. Yes. Keep in mind, this is a negotiator Mr. Clare has worked with before, and who was more than fair with him and the union. There are leaflets everywhere, and banners. What did they say again? Oh yes, every worker, a member of the board.
Most of the workers probably don't know what that means.
Then you might also like their other slogan, Demand Democracy. Personally, I don't think it has the same pizazzo as every worker a member of the board. It's quite simple, you see. Every time the Wild Pines group makes a decision about what? About anything really, it needs the signature of each of the 2,200 workers in its Martinez terminal. Just so you understand, this is but one of 22 terminals owned by Wild Pines. Essentially, not only are they kings of the company, they are also kings of the 72,000 employees of Wild Pines Group. They're having a blast. But how can they afford it? After 4 months, my assumption was they would prefer a more practical solution. I'm not sure. Naturally, I assumed that was just their opening position, a hard-nosed tactic with a side of mockery. But there's been no follow-up, just the same nonsensical slogan repeated over and over again. And now, people are getting lynched, I hear. Behind the whirling in rags. A disastrous situation if there ever was one.
Excuse me, from whom did you hear about this lynching?
I first heard it from the bowyer at the gates. The one whose very name advertises his aversion to work. I think he said it was, "Call me mañana."
This checks out.
The scabs? You mean the huddled masses of Jamrock, come to plead for work where the union refuses to? If they were organized by Wild Pines or its affiliates, then it would be a company secret. I could not share it with you. Not right now, at least.
It's implied. She's open to discussing this matter with you at a later occasion.
Everard Clare is a man of the utmost integrity. If you can say one thing about him, it's that he always puts the interests of the workers first. Of course not. Everard is fantastically corrupt. I imagine he has a thick, viscous goo where you and I have blood. He is the most corrupt individual I have ever seen, and I deal with men like him for a living. If there is anyone more venal, more irredeemably nepotistic, then it's his twin brother, Edgar. Have you seen him? Edgar looks exactly like his brother, except for that lazy eye. He also talks exactly like Everard does, and when one's term as foreman is up, the other takes over. It's how they circumvent the term limits, you see, with a funny little switcheroo. While in office, they've embezzled God knows how much of their workers' dues. The Débardeurs Union was once a perfectly normal institution. 20 years ago, anyway. It must not have been easy to establish under the Emergency Act, but they did it. I can respect that. Organized labor at its best, as they say. Then something happened in the local chapter elections. The brothers Clare came and transformed it into a... how do you say?
A mob. The Débardeurs are a crime syndicate. Sad as it may be, we are forced to cooperate with them.
Refreshingly honest, officer. The company has tried appeasing in the past, but I'm afraid our concessions have only emboldened Everard and his brother. And your opinion, Detective, if I may ask? I'm a curious and talkative person, you see. Would you say the Débardeurs Union is... Why do you think so? Ha! A real man of the left. What else can I tell you about? I'm glad you asked. There was a woman, the previous forewoman of the Union. She disappeared.
Disappeared?
Yes. On the last day of the local chapter elections, her daughter phoned in and said she wasn't running anymore, or coming to work. Ever. End of story. Downright haunting, if you ask me. The Wild Pines suspected foul play, but what could they do? It was a Union matter. The point of the presentation is, these kinds of things happen around the Clares. Watch out when you're dealing with him.
Thank you for your concern, ma'am. We'll be just fine.
Of course. How else can I help? Quite a few things, I'm afraid. The information I'm to share with you includes sensitive trade secrets. For the sake of my employer, I have to ask for your names and badge numbers.
Of course, ma'am. We should have introduced ourselves. I am Lieutenant Kitsuragi, from Precinct 57. And this is my colleague from Precinct 41, Detective Dubois. I'm afraid Harry doesn't have his badge at the moment. I hope mine will suffice.
Oh, and what happened to yours, Detective? I see. So, are you saying you lost your badge during the course of this episode?
I think I'm just gonna go around and let everyone know I have amnesia.
Oh dear. Some kind of encephalopathic amnesia. I don't even know how to respond. I do believe you, naive as that may sound. I simply can't imagine what you gain by faking such a condition.
As I said, ma'am, his technique may be very unconventional, but he is an officer of the RCM.
Of course, I sympathize, but I'm afraid I simply can't share anything more until I've seen that badge.
She's a professional negotiator. She should be open to some sort of mutually beneficial arrangement.
Can't remember exactly which thing. You find your badge eventually.
Of course.
It's not.
But before we do, officers, let me be perfectly clear. The situation is extremely volatile. The sooner we can speak about this lynching business, the better for all of us.
There's better witnesses than her. I'm not doing her dirty work.
That's the man who was killed. I'm afraid this is a discussion for once we've cleared the lynching question. Better not tie the forestay to the backstay on this. I hope there is something else I can help you with. This reality.
Yes, reality is your side case. An experimental side case.
How truly curious. A sort of philosopher detective.
Are they now?
A deep synthesis. I'll assist you however I can then. Go ahead. Ask.
All right, we're in. I know these all look good, but begin with the first, okay?
We're in Martinez, baby. Martinez is a district of Revachol. A very small district tucked away near the industrial harbour, north of the 881 and Jamrock. You would be excused for not knowing about it. Unimportant, they say. Forgotten, even. Shelled to smithereens during the Revolution. It has its charms, just not this time of year. I would be happy to. What is a preposterously expensive education for, if not sharing?
A strange coldness comes over you as you look at the world. The waves sway the sloop slowly. That's all. It remains a mystery what you mean by this something close.
These are unimportant times, Detective. You and I were born after the dust had settled. 1,000th of a second too late for the big time. The revolution. It's quite easy. Every 100 years or so, our species gets together to decide what's next, who gets shot in the head, and who gets the mineral rights. It's a real kerfuffle. Why, of course. We're talking Duke out Central. Full swing intra-species warfare. No, I would say the apes were neutral. On the other hand, maybe you're right. Those would be the communists. Generally speaking, 40 million people got shot in the head during the World Revolution. But the communists, they all got shot in the head. Oh, and the anarchists too. They shot them well. So well, one forgets they even existed. Did they ever? Before they got shot themselves, they shot 2 million people.
Yeah, it was a kerfuffle, all right.
Yes, the Insulindian deluge, they call it. Oh, lots of people. Even the king got shot in the head, or thrown beneath a horse, or drowned. Accounts differ. It was unceremonious. Just as well, he wasn't actually the king. Just the king's nephew. The real king abdicated and lived out a long and productive life as a venture capitalist in Grad. Yes, King Guillaume had a nose for bad PR. He ran before it. What is the expression? Went down? Anyway, Gil got out alive and his nephew Frisell got shot in his place. Him and tens of thousands of his wonderfully fascist kingsmen. It was a wild time. The liberals got the mineral rights. And by mineral rights, I mean everything. Liberals are usually middle-class people, Detective, or the remaining gentry, the beneficiaries of the pre-revolutionary arrangement. Some were rich enough to stay with the Constitution, with monarchy. Big mistake. Others bet on the revolution. They were called the ultras, or ultra-liberals. They fared well. They didn't win so much as survive. We were the last ones standing when the war ended. Everyone else got shot in the head, remember?
We. She's one of them. Of course.
To foreign intervention. The coalition. Those people really took the mineral rights. The liberals took everything that wasn't nailed to the ground. The coalition took the ground. The ocean, the laws, and the people. The coalition of nations. Grad, Mesk, Vesper, Messina, Oranje, and Sur-le-Clay. The armed center of the world. They landed here and ended the revolution. It was the moralist thing to do. The moralists believe in keeping everything exactly the way it is. They believe in mineral rights, and not shooting people in the head. At least not in the same manner and volume as the others do. They are the long-standing provisional rulers of Revachol now, the coalition government. This is their zone of control. They embolden the RCM with crumbs of the same law they took. Technically speaking, you are a moralist.
The color of moralism is blue. The official motto of Moral Intern, or Moralist International, is a blue forget-me-not, a piece of grey sky. Unofficial. For a moment, there was hope.
Of course. Not easy to be moderate about head shooting in your line of work. The turn of the century revolution? Don't answer it. It's a trick question. The revolution began in '02 on the Isla of Grad, though by the end nearly the whole world had gotten involved. It wasn't a who, but a what. a pandemic of Zarat, a particularly virulent prion disease, which the authorities in Grad proved unable to contain. Then Marzolf came along and overthrew the government. It made people overthrow their governments. Of course not. It was a highly infectious microorganism that destroyed brain tissue. The actual causes of the revolution were material. The pandemic only provided the spark.
It was a funny time in history. They discovered transistors and rock music, but they didn't know anything about prions. Nobody did.
From Revachol and Grad? Not far. The world managed to cauterize itself. Marzolf's government was overthrown in 08, and the coalition crushed the Revachol commune 2 years later. It was the end. Why? You and I, officer. Our lives in the zone of control. A city-state divided into free market zones under the everlasting interregnum of the coalition of nations. And you, of course, the citizens' militia. The zone of control is the third incarnation of Revachol, after the failure of the suzerain and the commune. Modernity. They developed the marvels of the inter-eastlery communication. Telematic milieus, radiation, colored plastics. Meanwhile, in Revachol West, the aftermath continues for the 5th decade.
51 minus 8 equals 43.
Time flies. The 20s saw a decade of urban war, west of the river leveled, offshore platforms in flames. Still, it's regarded as an improvement on what came before. 08 to 19 was simply hell. The 30s? Things settled down in the 30s. Revachol East transformed itself into the world's largest tax haven, with the international community's blessing. For the first time in a long time, it seemed like things were going somewhere. Yes, and quantitative easing. It was a market mirage, unfortunately. The 40s dispelled it. An Isla-wide hangover, you might say. So, here we are. Welcome to reality, baby.
For her to be where she is, Wild Pines Group must have picked the right side.
They picked the winning side. That's why they're here, and others are not. Perhaps it wouldn't have turned out that way had I been in charge. I might have bet on the king and led the Pines to doom. I would have sided with the cannons. If you'd seen the calibers of the things, you might have too. Perhaps it's better I was born when I was. 10 of the 14 Indo tribes got it wrong. Feld, Kupri, Tricentennial. So I suppose I would have been in good company. Good question. What would you have done differently? And you would have died, most likely. Not far from here. Maybe even right here, during the beachhead, defending the coast the day the coalition took the city. No, almost certainly. The commune would have forced you. Such was the fate of the undecided. They are what they are. Who knows? An afterbloom may yet come. Anyway, enough sentimentality. Is there anything else you want to know?
Not so fast. Who is she in all this? Ask her who she is. She owes you an answer.
I am the vilest of the vile. A traitor. A devourer of nations and infants. I am an ultra.
She raises the corner of her mouth, smirking, revealing a canine.
An ultra-liberal. It's a type of liberal. From the revolution. It's, not the moderate kind. Haven't you heard? I am a nether creature of the Forbidden Swamp. One of those who pushed the king under a shit wagon and betrayed the revolution. We surrendered the nation to financial colonists. No sane person identifies as an ultra anymore. Not in broad daylight. Tell me, now that I've uncoiled myself, are you repulsed?
In her green eyes, you see a mixture of truth and self-satire. Decades of guilt and pride.
A devil, who being of great charm and guile, sneaketh into the homes of the godly.
Beneath her waterproof raincoat and silk shirt is a body imbibed in numb 12 perfume. You are suddenly and intimately aware of it.
I don't think that you can say this a few times in the game. I don't think it ever actually worked. This isn't, Baldur's Gate or Mass Effect or...
I'm afraid you'll find that every woman is a devil woman detective. There are only aesthetic differences between one and the other. When the dust settled, the liberals were the only ones left to clean up the mess. By virtue of their survival, they were handed enormous power to shape the future. This was all our last generation managed. With due respect to our overlords, the eternal caretaker government that keeps Martinez a monument to the efficacy of its artillery, I would not have relinquished sovereignty to the Coalition. Not here in Martinez, and not in the Stella Maris or Delta Beachheads either. If not for my own sake.
She realizes her small, cold fists are clenched. She loosens them.
Then for my daughters. We had an obligation to defend our sovereignty. We should have burned the whole Isola down rather than let them have it. Perhaps my intellectual vanity will be my undoing.
You're no dummy yourself. And the crown on your head as you lay in the casket.
Yes. Whatever else I am, I'm also a mother and a wife. Now, a bird? A sphenicid? A flightless bird of the polar regions? Ah. This is the pier of Rue de Saint-Ghislaine, 33A, where the tenants have been kind enough to rent me a slot, or two. A pre-revolutionary tenement. Old buildings are called tenements, you see. And new buildings, bâtiments. After les bâtiments nouveaux. But 33A and 33B are not nouveaux. They're old. This one used to be 8 to 10 stories tall. A real high-rise by the standards of the last century. Built to mirror the skyscrapers across the bay in the Delta. That was before the war, of course. Mostly the urban middle class, I believe. This was once primo real estate, before the cannons lopped 4 or 5 stories off. Splat, splat.
You could be wrong, but from here it appears as if she's running the brush across her throat in a soaring motion.
Wonderful. The girl in the old lady rags looks like a sullen and rebellious member of a teen infraculture. Yes, you and I belong to the supraculture. We're common, the herd. The music on the radio, the food in the chain restaurant, those are all too popular for the girl in the old lady rags. She prefers a fantasy world, an infraculture with its own dress code and vernacular. It is an illusion, I'm afraid. There is no refuge from the supraculture. I can't. That's how simple it is. One may dye their hair green and wear their grandma's coat all they want. Capital has the ability to subsume all critiques into itself. Even those who would critique capital end up reinforcing it instead.
That's... Yeah, a lot of people pointed out that ended up applying to this game too.
All right. What next?
Suddenly, you're not so sure you're part of the superculture.
And what would that be? I can see that, yes. I dabble in those dark arts myself, not so long ago. I assure you, it was a thoroughly supracultural phenomenon. All permeating. Downright mandatory. Nothing infra about disco, baby. Those days are long behind me. And even in the early 30s, I would say I was more of a new girl. Disco was a minor, but still enjoyable facet of the whole thing for me. The new. A cultural era. And the name of the decade it ravished, the 30s. It came out of post-revolutionary Revachol. It was ultra-liberal. It involved lots of partying, as you might imagine, and champagne-colored everything. By the looks of it, that would have been when you came of age. Now. Wasn't it Guillaume Le Million who said, if you can remember the new, you weren't there? Ah, yes. This is not very central to reality, is it? I can't be 100% sure, but I believe he died due to complications from venereal disease. You can't get a venereal disease from that, can you? All of them. I'm afraid no. But then again, one can't be entirely sure. It's all part of his mystique. Ask someone else and you may get a more champagne-colored take. Anyway, what other basic facets of reality should we discuss? Glad to have been of assistance. The little that I know. Of course, Detective.
Yeah, you better keep walking. Look at me when I'm talking to you. The streets will flow red once more. A great torrent rushing down Rue de Esperance. You wait and see.
The streets will not flow red with anything. Who are you?
I'm Cindy the fucking Skull. What else do you want to know? Date of birth, blood type, the last time I was tested for Hep C. Had a battery of tests just last week. I'm practically a patchwork of interesting critters. Kinda like a man-o'-war.
The lieutenant is desperately searching for another handkerchief. Hatred, disgust, it's difficult to tell which of the two is more present in her girlish features. The woman on the boat does not notice her staring.
That is on her. Someone's got to keep an eye on her. On a first-name basis with her, are we? Piggy's moving up in the world. Pig's not half as dumb as he looks. Can't you tell? I'm painting a beautiful mural, an aereo graffitio visible from low orbit. I haven't really started it yet. I'm waiting for the right words. Have you ever tried your hand at graffitio?
When faced with a blank wall, most people write unimaginative stuff, like pigs go home, and Mona was here. We rarely see pigs round here, though. Just union cats. And my name's not Mona, so... This place is severely lacking in havoc. Not even the occasional trash can fire to break up the tedium. I thought I'd mix it up, you know. Summon the forces of crime and social chaos with a wall-sized invitation. Yeah? Thanks. I'm sure the inspiration will come to me now that I have an official RCM stamp of approval.
She means the opposite.
I ain't no snitch, pigstein. Go forth and forage in someone else's shit. No shortage of squealers in these parts.
Actually, there is a shortage of people who talk to us in a normal, calm, informative manner.
We weren't put on this earth to make your life pleasant, fucko. Watch your back, ungulate. You've got eyes on you.
This is a wall on the side of an apartment building. You have no clue. It's just a wall. So many walls all over Martinez. Weather-worn, cracked, their paint peeling.
Are you trying to sneak up on me? Come to slit my throat in my sleep?
Apparently, she doesn't like people standing behind her back. Logic error. She is not sleeping right now.
Pigs come to take me out? Trying to snuff me out? Then why are you sneaking up on me like that? It's not a good idea to scare me, pig. Not a good idea at all.
There's a bunch of stuff there that saved for later. Yeah, probably start to finish stuff up. Oh, is that a new guy? Or new lady?
Hello? Me? No one. I'm just a working class woman.
She doesn't really want to be disturbed that much. If she's such a working class woman, why isn't she working?
There's a strike going on.
This was a tremendously useful interlude.
Can I help you? Got the 20 real? Good. You got the room for the night, but remember, you'll need another 20 real tomorrow.
I think day 3 is when I can get the free room, but I'm not totally sure.
The tear machine stands in the... Your bottles clunk into the... Do you know what you should do with that money, kiddo? You should buy more alcohol. Enter the endless cycle of consumption. The woman still has her eyes fixed on the photograph in her hands. In the background, the radio plays. No response. Wherever this woman is, your words fail to reach her. A Stars Ryko, one of the finest Zhimsk-made motor carriages ever. An oldie, but a goldie. Not many people outside of Grad, and Revachol West too, it appears.
A Stash Ryko KK2. That's a classic model. Never thought I'd see another one repainted after what happened last time.
No, only that the motor carriage is typically baby blue. The colors of Sigismund the Great, an ancient Zhimsk ruler. His banners were famously zephyr and white. The colors of the Stars Ryko.
An old case for my precinct. A couple of Zhimsk migrants saw a Stash Ryko stopped in the street, painted just like this, muddy brown. Murdered the driver on the spot.
Oh, I should have picked the other option. I would have gotten it right.
It was an honor killing, Hussar style. The Zhimsk community protested the trial, flying the banners of some old king or whatever. 5,000 came to protest.
Correction. 4,395. The fourth largest public protest of a criminal trial in Revachol.
People we are paid to protect. Let's leave it at that. 4 years for murder in Reunion. The perps were remorseful. Their sorry knocked 8 years off the sentence. That's the system.
The prisons in the greater Revachol Industrial Harbor are already full. Prisoners are expensive to maintain. The longer the sentence, the larger the cost.
Could it be another Stash Ryko murder? Honestly, that just doesn't seem like the type of vehicle our dead guy would drive. So my initial guess is the two are not related. Is that so, officer? I'll take you at your word. Yes, detective? Okay, I'm not going to honor kill anyone over this. But I've seen it blue and white. It's much better that way.
Nope. Oh, I need to equip a flashlight. Oh, shit.
Oh, it's you again. Are you looking for a die? Excellent. That will be 10 real for one set of magnetic dice. This was an especially fun set to make.
Dazzling. It's like you have a pair of tiny disco balls in your hand. You feel nothing. If anything, it's uncomfortably warm in here.
Yeah, I think I'll leave
She
it at
has
that.
begun to idly clean one of her carving tools with a dirty kerchief. The tool's sharp edge shining in the light of her desk lamp.
So I have no idea what those dice will do for me, but I don't know, they look pretty cool.
Shelves full of biographies of famous people, whoever they are.
A true cultural touchstone. Enjoy the read.
Browsing through all the books with all suddenly, a particularly odd title catches your eye. It reads, High Speed Love, the tragic true love story of Jacob Irv and Alfie Delatraz, by one Cecilia Averbrook. High Speed Love chronicles the romance between two of the finest tip-top tourney racers in history. One of them is the madcap driver, Jacob Irv. His blonde mane graces the cover. Next to Irv's life story, you see a slim biography of an Occidental rock star called. Next to that,
I've seen all this already.
Must insist you. I'm sorry, I didn't.
All right. Alright, I will read that another time. I think that's one of those things that's a flag for something later in the game. And I think we just got I think I'm gonna call it for today, but it looks like we gotta start out whenever I get a chance to stream again. It's gonna be talking to the Union guys, and then there's a bunch of stuff to explore around the building, and I believe next day is when the second half of the game opens up. Thanks for hanging out. I said probably no stream tomorrow, but you know, I kinda would play it fast and loose. But probably a stream on Monday. Definitely within the next couple days. Cool. Yeah. Oh yeah. You too. Yep. Talk to you later.